Yeah, so I love being alone. Though I would be dishonest if I were to say that I enjoy having no friends, because then I would be lonely. And loneliness, having no friends, is almost never a good feeling. I've been to that place way too many times not to know that. But there is power in it. As I went through life, particularly high school, college, and even now at the age of 26, I find that time and time again, it's extremely difficult for me to fit in. And it's not because I'm not sociable. It's not because I'm weird, or maybe I am weird. But because of my interests, because of my perspectives, and even my ambitions, you could say. After a long enough period of time with any group of individuals, ranging from a few weeks to a few months, I would typically find myself feeling alienated or distanced to some degree, at least from my end. I could never truly relate to 97% of the people that I came across in my life. And particularly during college, I didn't really want to either. However, especially at this stage in my life, I've learned to really tap into that notion of having no friends, of being alone, and from it to push my life into those higher qualities of living. There are recent studies showing data that suggest that people today are the loneliest that they've ever been before. The average person today has significantly less friends than the average person a few years ago, or even a few decades ago. And the reasons for that range from the COVID pandemic to political viewpoints to social media. It's been said essentially that we're living through a loneliness pandemic. And while loneliness can be detrimental, I believe the opportunity that it can give you, simply due to the fact that you are alone, is a blessing in disguise. And so I wanted to share with you the 3 actionable ways that being alone or having no friends has elevated my life, in hopes of inspiring you to take the initiative to elevate your own, so that you can make the most out of this blessing in disguise at a point in your life much earlier than when I did. The first way is that you have the blatant opportunity to try the activities and interests that catch your attention with absolutely no judgment, and even more importantly, with no permission. If you actually take the initiative to go out and attempt the things that seem to speak to your curiosity, as a side effect, you're going to be building the muscle for being a self-starter. And for yourself, you're going to place yourself in experiences that fully cater to you with a higher degree of a peace of mind. There's virtually no downside of having this skill, and you have an even bigger window of building it because there's nothing holding you back mentally. A great example of this in my own life is this YouTube channel. When I first had the idea of starting this YouTube channel, this was during the last few months of college, most of my closest friends and even my girlfriend at the time all were telling me that it was a bad idea, that I was never going to make something out of it, or at least that the chances of that happening were very low. I got things like, news, this is a waste of time. You're not even a YouTube type of person. That was sometime around late 2019, early 2020. Fast forward to June 2020, I graduate college. I move back in with my grandparents in San Diego, and I'm completely isolated. Once again, I found myself stuck in a place where I have no friends. And yes, I did have a girlfriend at the time, but that was a long distance relationship. So essentially, there was no girlfriend either. But it was that same isolation, that same state of now being alone again, of having no friends, that ripped away the chains that were holding me back from doing whatever it is that I wanted to do. Now let's fast forward again to October 2020. I started my YouTube channel, and looking back at it now, it has given me so much, from adventures in places I might have never gone to otherwise, to even providing a little bit of income. Also, keep in mind, this is just the beginning of my YouTube journey, but it took me almost a full year to get started, just because of the judgment I was receiving at the time. I had put myself in a position where I required the permission of those around me in order to move forward with the ideas that I had at the time. And because of that, I missed a full year of the potentially amazing experiences that I could have had, that I could have learned from. A year that I fully now feel that I owe to myself at a higher capacity. And to be completely honest, it's only been within the last few months that I've been able to truly apply this lesson at full force in my life, where I don't ever need permission to do anything and don't even feel the effects or the influence that judgment might have on me. So if you're anything like me, someone who tends to find themselves alone often, realize that you now have the absolute power to do everything that you ever wanted without conflict, and on top of that, from a easier position. My example was starting this YouTube channel. Yours could be getting a motorcycle license, which I also plan on doing soon, or whatever else. But past the ability of doing whatever you want without any restrictions, you are developing a life skill, the skill of taking initiative without permission. And I guarantee that skill is going to serve you greatly for the rest of your life, even when the time comes where you're absolutely surrounded by people and in any scenario. The second way, which you can take almost in any direction or as deeply as you want, is that it opens up your time, which I highly suggest you use for self-improvement. Inherently, having no friends or being alone deletes the issue of having to say no to people, which is something that most people tend to struggle with heavily, especially when it comes to taking the steps to getting their lives together. For example, would you rather go to sleep at 10 p.m. a certain night, or that same night would you choose to go out on a late night run for some drinks? You're probably going to choose the latter. Though now it becomes so much easier because you are alone to redirect that energy of having to go out with your friends because of guilt, pressure, temptation, whatever, or even just staying up on your phone all night, into the motions that are going to change the trajectories of your life upward. Hamza, a self-improvement YouTuber that's been insanely successful on this platform, is the personification of this lesson. After being unhappy with his lifestyle of being in environments that didn't promote his better self, alongside of his weakening mental health, he took the steps to go back home and live with his parents. He even left his girlfriend at the time to commit his time in isolation back home towards self-improvement. And after a few years of being alone in this process of reinventing himself, he's put himself in a position where he has the freedom to constantly improve and inspire others to do the same. He's achieved financial freedom, he's achieved mental fortitude, and he even now has a cult-like following that looks to him as the paradigm of self-improvement. Iman Gadzi, coming from an underprivileged background and turning himself into a multi-millionaire in his early 20s, also another extremely successful YouTuber, preaches the same idea of growth through isolation through a methodology known as monk mode. In his version of monk mode, he speaks of dedicating 6 months to high levels of discipline, focus, and productivity towards a defined goal. Within those 6 months as well, there are some daily habits that he deems non-negotiable, such as meditation, exercise, and no use of alcohol/drugs. He's also a huge advocate for journaling, which is another amazing habit to pick up. And similarly to Hamza, Iman continues to improve upon himself while inspiring others to do the same. If you have no friends or you are alone, you are inherently in a position for massive self-growth. You are essentially in a position where you have a lesser amount of distractions, far less than the average person, and you should be taking absolute advantage of this to build the life that you want to live and to become the person that you want to be. If there's anything to take from the two examples that I showed you earlier, outside of potentially realizing high levels of success in your own life because of your isolation, it's that you should start to create your life, to build your life for the better by choosing better habits, meditation, working out, no temptations, journaling. I implement these habits daily and have been for the last few months. You've probably seen it in my last few videos. And I will tell you through firsthand experience, it will change your life drastically for the better. The last way, which comes as a result of the last two lessons, is that you begin to develop a low tolerance for people and activities that fall outside of what fulfills you. As you continue to take the initiative to explore the avenues that interest you, as you continue to dedicate your time alone to improving your existence. You'll find yourself being more able to easily identify the things that you would consider unnecessary, the things that you dislike or just waste your time altogether. Through that process, you're going to come closer and closer to discovering the activities and the people that bring a deeper sense of fulfillment into your life. And in turn, you're going to find yourself in a place where you both enjoy the quality of your time being alone, but simultaneously are surrounded by individuals that eliminate the majority of that feeling of loneliness, that darker side of being alone. I won't say that it ever fully goes away because we're human and emotions tend to be unreliable, but your life now will absolutely be way more directed from a place of fulfillment rather than one of loneliness, rather than the demotivation brought upon by a lack of friendship. And just maybe, as I have found, you'll find that having no friends or being alone, at least in phases, is one of the best things that has ever happened to you, for you, and you will be undoubtedly better for it. Anyways, I hope that these actionable lessons that I learned through my times being alone, being absolutely immersed in feelings of loneliness, were able to open up new pathways for you to explore, especially if you're in a similar place right now. Subscribe, I'd love to have you. And to those of us that turn our moments alone into blessings for the better, into opportunities for massive self-growth and exploration, it's time to skyrocket.